Welcome to Inclusion, a strategy for adult education. What will be covered in this presentation is what is inclusion in adult education, some social and cultural aspects. We'll look at limitations and advantages of inclusion as a strategy. For best practice, we'll use an example in an industrial setting. We're going to talk about the instructor's role and the learner's role, and how do we deal with any ethical, cultural, and or gender implications to this strategy. When looking at inclusiveness of adult education, we must consider the needs and the rights of every individual, regardless of background, to have an education. Some background issues possibly being religion, minorities, immigrants, or students with disabilities, for example, and there are many more. Education should be facilitated through an educational program that will meet the needs of each and every student. It must be a system that will provide a comfortable and safe learning environment so that the student will feel a part of, feel responsible for, and feel totally included. Steps to make inclusion work. We will assume that the direction came from the administration or government with a clear educational philosophy or vision about inclusion. We'll take a position that every student belongs in the class and that the student need to feel that they have something to offer to the class. There must be dignity and respect for all. Inclusive education is the ultimate goal, worthy of pursuit, where the instructors are the agent of change and not holding to the status quo. From what we've covered so far, we can see that the potential for building a community of cultural acceptance through such an educational system is massive. Instructors and students alike would grow in character, knowledge, and skill through such an educational strategy. As with all systems of life, there are limitations and advantages. Over the next few minutes, we're going to take a look at a few of these. Let's start with the limitations. Adult students have other commitments, such as work, family, commuting. And then there are non-traditional students, people with cultural differences, adult students who do not readily involve themselves in campus after-hour activities or study groups. Those with digital education, many adult learners are not as familiar with online learning or research investigations. Inclusion requires students' participation, and some students from different cultural backgrounds have a difficulty with participating in groups, and some students are just shy and more introverted. Some of the advantages are, well, inclusion enables students to be a part of the class. It helps the students to overcome their disabilities or perceived disabilities. It builds confidence and self-esteem. And when exposed to other opportunities and potentials that they have for future education and occupations. It expands their knowledge base and many class activities that will enhance their learning. It gives flexibility to how the class is run. And social enhancement for all, the instructor, student, and the community as a whole. It's a great learning atmosphere where students, trainees can practice what they are learning working with the group. So how does it work? Well, in this setting, the class is made up of students of different ethnic backgrounds, age, and experience. Students are being trained how to tie up a ship alongside a wharf operation. So the next is a process of training. The instructor introduces the procedure with a PowerPoint presentation which gives the students a visual of the task to be done. And during the introduction, the students are asked about what personal protective equipment might they use. How many people does it take to do this task? And what are some of the hazards they might face? And then as a group, they come up with the correct procedure to work safely. Once they've done this, they break off into small groups, and the students will demonstrate the safe execution of the steps in the simulation. After the demonstration, then there is a group discussion about the process, what they saw, what they felt, what they could do to improve the process, and just take an overall view of it. Then at the end of the class, a formative questionnaire is given to verify the retention of the information. So where was inclusion in this example? Well, every student was involved by being able to play back to the instructor what the student had heard. And then the student demonstrates through simulation they know the process. Again, able to challenge the process or ask more questions in a follow-up discussion. And then there's the evaluation where the student participates in the formative questionnaire and the observation through that demonstration. So now we look at the roles. We want to talk about the instructor and then the learner. The instructor facilitates a class with a short lecture presentation and then draws the student in with discussion questions and sets up a short demonstration scenario. And how do the students participate? By responding to the questions during the opening presentation, participating in the demonstration, and then again are involved in an open discussion with the evaluation of a formative quiz and through the observation of the instructor during the scenario. Ethical questions. Well, the issue of ethical or cultural and general aspects are covered in the hiring of the trainees through a code of conduct presentation. There is a clear discussion about how to handle their personal issues and how they are to treat others. Respect is shown for each and every trainee to ensure that their comfort, their safety, and that their expectations of the course are met. In summary, inclusion is a strategy that will enhance the educational aspect of your class with a comfortable, safe, interesting, and motivating environment. The students will gain confidence and self-esteem through the encouragement aspect of it. Should challenges come, they will be overcome together as they work through them. So what does inclusion, a strategy for adult education, do for you, the instructor, the learner? It will ensure that you are included.